How long will be the interview?
It should take us about maybe 30 minutes.
Okay. I think I accepted it.
You did, otherwise you would have disappeared. So we'll just cut off the beginning piece. So, hi.
Hi.
To start, would you just like to tell us a little bit about yourself, like your name, where you are?
My name is Laura, and I live in Udine, in the northeast of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a place to live during this outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, this region has not been so much affected as others in Italy. So the situation was never too dramatic. So I think we've been quite lucky. I have been quite lucky.
Good, good. So the first question that we have for you is, who are you as a person? What are some of your passions or your qualities or your interests?
I don't know who I am. Well, for sure, I think I'm sort of a cat girl.
Okay.
She came here just to see what I was doing. I think I'm a curious person. I like to explore, and this is something very embodied for me. I think it's really what I can say is my nature, is curiosity and exploration. I don't like to stay in a never-changing environment. I like things to evolve and to evolve myself. So if I have to say who I am, I think I can say I'm a curious person.
Okay. Okay. So our next question is, what other human being, what other person has had the most impact on who you are as a person?
Oh God. In the recent times?
However you want to answer it.
I think that quite I'm not sure this is right in English, a handful person have had a great influence on me. My family, for the good and for the bad, has certainly a small community that has influenced my life deeply. A couple of persons that have been my partners, whom I loved very much, and that influenced my life in different ways, because of the events, because of the way of being, but have had a deep influence. In some cases, the experience was a little bit hard to live and painful, but nonetheless was one of the most important experiences in my life. Then I was very lucky to meet remarkable persons in my professional career as well, that became also friends, and they had also a deep influence. And I think that I must say my therapist for sure. No, and I'm saying it, I'm very glad to say this. Yes, I owe him and to the experience of the therapy together really a lot.
Okay. Do you want to say anything about how any of those specific people influenced you?
I think that concerning the family, well, that's the easiest part because you don't choose your family. So you need to come to terms with it as every
To
other human
terms
being.
or to therapy, either of those.
Yeah, I mean, and somehow you have, to evolve. So that was, of course, first part. Then concerning the partners that I had that have been important for me, two of them. One was really difficult because I was very young and I faced the illness of this person. So it was an experience that was indeed painful because I was very young. But that allowed me to have a more insightful perspective on life, I would say. Yeah. And also with time, also to be able to be more supportive with others, for instance, whom I care, that live hard times. Yeah, definitely. There have been also persons that from which I learned a lot of fun, a lot of many wonderful things. Professionally, I grew up a lot because I had the opportunity to stretch my legs and to try myself and see what I could do and gain confidence and a place in the world for me because of that. And well, my therapist, I want to say the least in this case because it's too intimate. But certainly in terms of my sort of discovering myself clearly and come to terms with myself has been absolutely instrumental and essential.
It's interesting how we need another person to come to terms with ourselves.
Yeah, one of the sentences that I've learned during my therapy is that, I don't know if I can really, it's less a citation, I don't know if I can translate it as, I can't, it's a, l'io e l'altro fatto proprio. I can't translate it, I said it in Italian, sorry.
And it's fine. It's like through the other you find yourself, right?
It's more than that. It's like the other is yourself when you make it yourself. So it's the way I understood it is the way in which the other resonates, how you resonate in the presence of the other. But the resonating means is something that is internal, is your own feelings and moods, etc. So yeah, and it's not a Gestalt therapy.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's all right. We can talk about other things too. So we're wondering, what event or circumstance would you say has shaped who you are?
I think that the events are exactly those that I lived with this person. So I cannot really distinguish the event from the person, because I think that it was the experience I lived with this person that had so much influence on me. Yeah. So all of them that I mentioned, from a severe illness to love to therapy. I cannot, well, yes, if I have to choose, I would choose the last one for sure. But yeah. But nonetheless, all of them in my life. So I don't want to choose one. It'll be, I think, too limited.
Mhm. That's fine. Do you want to say anything more about that or not right now?
About the experiences?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Well,
if you don't, that's fine.
Well, concerning, let's start with love. Okay. Well, love, I learned it's a way of being. More than someone or something or just moments. This is what I've realized and I learned and I became aware more recently. And I think is one of the most important things that I've learned in my life. So I think that it's also a process during which two persons are committed to know one another, but they still remain autonomous persons. I don't believe in what, I don't know what you might call it, the dependence or confluence or whatever. But yeah, I've learned that to love, you need to grow yourself first. Then you can really, really love and not just being in need of someone. Not that it's bad, not at all. It's not what I want to say. It was important also for myself. But I have to say, as someone told me first, that it acquires a completely different quality when you can love staying on your two legs. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's something about maturing love. It grows, it changes.
I think, yeah, it's even, I would say that it's a different level. It's even more than maturing. It's another kind of game. Yeah. Professionally, I think that professional life, if what you do is something that you are passionate about, is one of the most important places to grow, because you can really stretch your legs and try yourself and see how much capable you might be to go over your limits, to do things. And this builds you not only as a professional, but as a human being as a whole. I don't distinguish so much between professional person and otherwise it would mean that 8 hours a day we are someone and for the rest of the time we are someone else, which is something that I don't like. I think it's an illusion. We are who we are, whatever we are in every situation. Of course, we respond differently to different situations.
Right.
And concerning illness, it's an experience of pain and what pain is and what's the meaning of pain. And this can be, of course, applied not only to, I mean, you can learn it. I learned it first, experiencing it with a person I loved, and then realizing my own pain much later. But I think that for me, that was the first time I sort of, how can I say, really put my hands on it.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Um, well, another question sort of about the area that we met, even though we've never met in real life, but we've met in Gestalt. So how did you come to Gestalt?
I come to Gestalt because I realized that I reached a moment, a point in my life where I needed someone else to grow further. And that was the only way to avoid doing the same thing and the same life on and on and on and on and on. And I had this feeling very, very clear. And I say, it's now or never. At the time, I had this strong feeling. And just because of friends knew Gestalt therapist, I end up in Gestalt. So it was by chance, actually. My inner motivation was towards therapy, and I met Gestalt therapist.
Okay. So what is it that you are most attracted to in Gestalt?
When I met it for the first time, it was entirely a new world for me, because my background, both professionally but also cultural, I was born in a mountain area where still, let's say, the psycho world was not so evolved, or at least not in my environment. So it was like discovering a new world. I was quite enthusiastic and eager to learn, as usual. So it was at first a period of great energy and wonder. Yeah. At the time, what I liked was I was convinced that when it was born, Gestalt was really visionary. And at that time, this attracted me a lot. I'm a curious person, so I don't like rigid frameworks or dogmas, or whenever you can find one. It's not only religious dogmas. There are dogmas in therapy as much as in religion, I learned.
Okay, there are. Yeah. So how did your interest evolve? Like what aspects of the theory, the practice, the experience?
It was both the theory and the practice, because the practice is what I more than touched me. I would say, how do you say in English? It overwhelmed me, the practice. Probably it was a bit too much, but what I want to say is, and I still believe that the practice of Gestalt is extremely powerful. And so powerful that sometimes you need to be really very careful. So the practice, for sure. The theory, I was initially fascinated, then quite critic concerning the theory, and I still am quite critic towards the theory. The practice, the way some of the persons I have the luck to meet use it, is amazing. Totally amazing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So another question would be, what is one of your greatest memories involving Gestalt in any way?
I would say the training that I did concerning organizational Gestalt. Yeah, that I did not in Italy, actually. I did it in English, and it was for me amazing, because it was so harmoniously integrated into my life, and that I was really amazed about this. And I think it was because I've been very lucky to have this experience with some wonderful persons that sort of conjugated top level professionalism with their human touch and capabilities. And the fact that it was applied to an organizational framework was also facilitating me in the experience, because especially at the time, that was the environment where I could more fluently experience myself with others. And definitely I choose this experience, yes.
Is there a particular point in the experience that made it really, really special, like a specific memory, or just the experience in general?
No, many. I mean, the experience as a whole, and also many particular events where I could really, you might say, solve some fixed Gestalt, probably, of myself. Quite a few. How should I say? I'm trying to think how not to be too detailed and not too general, which is not easy.
I mean, some people have told stories, some people have, you know, shared anecdotes and things like that. Like,
well, one very important moment was when I put a strong criticism, because something that happened had a big impact on me, and I got very scared, and I was scared I could find myself in a very difficult situation in the group. And I thought this was somehow responsibility mainly of the leading persons. And I said that loudly. I mean, not in an aggressive way, but on the contrary. But I just put it on the table very clearly, and that was a difficult moment for me. First, because I was very much involved and touched, and very vulnerable in that moment, and because it was something also linked to my personal difficulties, sort of my personal patterns. Mm-hmm. So the fact that this was accepted and welcome in a very, for me, clean way. Not, not emphatic, not reassuring, not how should I say, excessively loving. Okay. Okay. It was just welcome as a valuable opinion and perspective, and I had the openness from the group leaders, the conductors, to really consider my perspective. And even if our let's say ways of seeing the situation were different, I was welcomed with my criticism, say, okay, maybe it might be, let's discuss it. And that for me was of huge importance, because of how it happened, the experience, the content, everything. To have the freedom of expressing even very different point of views. It's very much linked to freedom for me. And it's linked to curiosity, to grow, because otherwise everything is, we're all the same, we all like each other, we all love each other, we're all empathic. Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds almost like your greatest memory is maybe the same answer to the next question, which would be, what has been one of your most challenging moments?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. Yes, I was kind of like, it sounds like a very significant challenge, but at the same time, it makes it really important. And it's not always, like you say, just the happy, fluffy, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, the happy, fluffy, confluent moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, another slightly different question would be, how have you experienced yourself and your gendered self in Gestalt?
Ooh, that's a very interesting question. Hmm. 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 Well, hmm. I think that I was lucky enough to meet some wonderful women in Gestalt. I also met quite remarkable men, quite a few alpha male. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not fully aware in my view
Okay.
how alpha they were.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is in no. Let me think. I don't know, because I have now in mind quite diverse communities from Northern Europe to South. And from North to South, exactly this gender issue, it's incredibly different. Because if you experience,
it's cultural.
yeah, exactly. So in Italy, it's a point. Also in Gestalt, it's definitely a point.
Okay.
It couldn't be different, because in my view, in Italy, it's so intrinsically embodied so deeply in every cell of every human being that it's impossible not to experience it. And I think it is there also in Gestalt. It's not a way, I mean, I'm not saying that you are discriminated or mistreated somehow.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not saying that. It is something much more subtle. Because it's not that the person, the male you have in front of you, is not caring or is not loving in a most positive way he could be, and completely sincerely willing to be there to support. Nonetheless, culturally in Italy, this is so rooted. That is, my experience is that when I experience myself in Northern Europe, I had different experiences. So I came to the conclusion that in Italy, the cultural environment is much more profoundly rooted still. And so gender, you feel it even in a caring environment, as Gestalt is. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are still different ways of being a woman or living your gendered experience in different spaces, in different fields.
Yes, maybe in this respect, what was more difficult for me is the fact that I'm CEO of a company, my own company, and Mm. It's not exactly I think that there are quite a few biases in several Gestalt communities concerning organizational life. Especially here in Italy, I think that almost every woman, certainly myself, lives through different stages to be free from the cultural environment. So first the family, then the professional life. With professional life, you become the woman, the career woman. So it's like a stamp.
Right.
Put it on your bare skin. And you need to grow a lot, not to be, let's say, not to let yourself, or not to be, sorry, not to let myself, not to be touched by this. So to grow and go beyond all of that. And sometimes in subtle ways, even in caring environment, as I said, you have a sort of, I had a sort of difficulty or sort of confluent. We all love each other, but
it's the but, right?
Yeah. Certainly it was me, because if that wouldn't be difficult for me, I mean, something inside me being touched and fragile in this respect, no problem at all. I mean, it's been me. I'm just saying that, of course, that was resonating quite strongly.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Well, I won't make you dig deeper in there. So I was wondering how Gestalt therapy, or Gestalt in whatever terms you would like to say, has affected you as a person. How would you explain that?
Well, I think that it was the first time in my life when my eyes turned inside, and I was first reminded and accompanied and supported to take care, to discover my own feelings, and not to discover, to explore. Yes, to explore my own feelings and to share them. So that has been huge importance. You might say that it was my first love. Not the only one, though.
Well, it doesn't have to be, one and done. Okay, and the last question that we really have, unless there's something you'd like to add afterwards, is whether or how you feel yourself to be part of a Gestalt community. Does that exist for you? How do you experience it?
That's for me, I think this is the most important question of the entire interview. Because when you ask me how it was for myself as a person, it's not easy for me to feel part of community. It's extremely difficult. Still it is. I worked a lot on this, and I improved a lot, and I can enjoy much more being part of a community. It was really difficult in the past. So the way I experience myself in the Gestalt communities that I'm involved with is that I'm very happy I have the opportunity to explore more. I'm strongly convinced that in terms of organizational frameworks, I think that Gestalt has a plus that the other approaches I met haven't. So for me, it is the choice of election for that kind of environment. So I think that I experienced it. I think it's fun.
See?
Yeah, it's fun because I mean, with time, I could find the persons with whom I feel very comfortable, and I feel free to express myself and to explore with others and to have perspectives that are much different from mine and my own. And I think this is wonderful because I can, I am unchallenged and I can grow. And I met wonderful, loving persons that make everything. Um, I miss the word in English. Such a valuable experience. So, to sum it up, because I think I was very confused, I would say that I feel part of the Gestalt communities I'm involved with, and I feel challenged. I am challenged, and I like this very much. I like the different perspectives I meet in these communities, and I love the persons that I met there.
Okay. Well, that doesn't sound confused at all. So.
Okay, thank you.
So I wonder if there's anything else that you would like to add, or.
Well, I think that what I'm thinking now is the fact that it was quite a journey for me. From the first time I was presented with this work to nowadays, it's been many years now, and I changed a lot through this journey. So right now, I'm not so much, let's say, involved with Gestalt per se. I'm much more involved with some persons and some communities within that sort of apply Gestalt, that have chosen Gestalt as their own lenses to interpret life and their profession. I am not sort of Gestalt is a way of being. No, it's not my thing. Yeah, I think that the kind of approach you choose is much less important than the person that have made this choice.
Okay. Okay, that's a whole debate about, whether
No.
Can a person do something, or is it an authentic presence of the person being something? I don't know. I don't want to get into that in your space. We can talk about that later. But I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and I think, yeah, I get that that's not your perspective, and it's not a way of being. Okay, I'm trying to understand that, because I've heard so many people say, at the end of the day, it's like, oh, it's a way of being, it's a philosophy of being, it's a way of life, it is who I am, and you're like, no, it's not. I'm kind of like, okay, I didn't expect that. So it's not.
No, it's not. I mean, what I want to say is that persons come first, individuals come first. I met wonderful persons in the therapeutic settings that are not from the Gestalt. And there is no way that I see a comparison in this. What I see is wonderful persons and extremely good professionals that have chosen different lenses to interpret life and to give meaning to life. And this is very much rooted within these persons. Still, it comes after the persons. It's not Gestalt first and the persons is here. This is the person and this person has chosen Gestalt. But the person comes first for me. It's not Gestalt first. Gestalt per se doesn't exist.
Okay. All right. Well, I can sit with that and think about it. And I can appreciate it. I am appreciating what you're saying. So unless there's anything else you would like to add, I would just like to thank you for your time and for this conversation. But if there is anything else, go ahead.
No, thank you. I think that that was also enough for me. And I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Okay. Well, maybe the next one for the Italian series, you can do the interview because now you know what the questions are.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't want to give you the questions for translation first. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you and good night.
Thank you. Bye, Heather.